What up, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of These Corona Times. You are tuned in with Tiffany and Dr. Simone and Mr. Brandon.
I'm about to say, you almost forgot about me for a second. But what's good, folks?
I'll never forget you, bro. Never. Okay. I want to welcome y'all back. Episode 14. We're talking about serving our country in these Corona times. Got a very special guest on tonight, but we will get to that a little bit later. First, as always, we just want to pop in and say thank you all so much for liking and sharing. I don't know about Brandon, but me and Simone had a great time last
week.
Listen, I think y'all had too good of a time, and I don't appreciate that.
We did. We missed you a little bit.
No, y'all didn't.
This much. When it came,
okay, you're right. We didn't. You're right.
When it came time to describe the episode, I was like, man, I miss Brandon right now because he does this part.
That's true.
You only miss you for the grunt work.
But we had a great time with some of our girls on. We had Miss Khalifa Alexander on, Miss Gabrielle Good. We had them on last week. It was a great conversation. If you missed it, please go back and tune in. We want to thank you all for the love and support, for continuing to watch us on YouTube and our Facebook channel. And again, we just ask you to all like and share and leave things in the comments. We do read them. We engage in the watch parties as much as we can on Monday evenings. So we are in there with you trying to keep up with the commentary. But we just want to say thank you all so much for the love and support. We appreciate it.
And I just pulled it up. You all have blown away the number that I thought. We are up to 319 people that like our Facebook page.
Keep on liking.
So thank you all for all of that extra support. We appreciate that.
Truly.
I was going to say that every day I log on, I have a new little notification that says somebody else liked the page. And we really do appreciate it because for me, it's, to even do any of this was really anxiety provoking for me personally. Because you always wonder like, oh, is anybody going to like it? Is anybody going to watch it? Or, and so you all have really, really shown out.
Yep, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So y'all want to shift into I guess Brendan has a self-care goal, but you can still tell us what you did.
From 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Listen.
How did
y'all didn't miss me, but I cannot wait till I have a guys' night. We're not going to miss y'all at all.
I can't wait either.
I'm looking forward to it.
We're ready.
Stop being supportive.
Ready to see. We're actually going to watch it, Brandon. We're going to watch it.
Stop being supportive. So my self-care was getting some more sleep, going to bed earlier.
Didn't do it, huh?
Hell.
Yeah, we know you didn't do it. Look.
Listen,
it was some late hours.
It was some late hours last week, and even I met, somebody told me yesterday that I look sleepy. I was like, oof. Eesh. Well, I had mentioned that I was tired, and she said, yeah, I see it.
Through your eyes.
I had my mask on, so they just say, yeah, through your eyes, you look tired.
I don't know how I feel about that feedback. I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about it. Okay, Tiffany, how did you do?
Mine was to not accept any more projects this week. I would like to say that I did better than I thought. I did say yes to one thing, but it was a real quick, it took me maybe an hour to do it on one of the days I didn't have a lot of time. I mean, I had a lot of free time to do it, so it was fine. So for the most part, I didn't pick up anything new. And I'm trying to put down what I got now. So I can't wait till we talk again next week because I'm sure Brandon and I will both have burdens lifted off our hearts next week.
Weights off our shoulders.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure I'm going to have a project I'm going to need help with, Tiffany. There's still something wrong with my computer, and I'm sure I'm going to need you to help me with that because that's what you do. So mine was to get off work on time because I started my new job last Monday. I did not do a good job at that. Like I said last week, I'm happiest when I'm busy and doing stuff. So I have a really hard time closing the lid on my computer. So I did a lot of extra work. Plus, I want to do a good job. So I just did a little more than I probably should have. So I'll probably re-up on that by the end of the episode. So
Yeah. Didn't we talk about that last week?
Yeah. I can say no in the home. At home, I can say no all day, but at work, I'm like, yes, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say no to Sean, but not your job.
You know what? I feel like the conversation for your men's takeover is forming right now.
Yeah.
Wheels are turning.
Anyway.
Just making observations.
Okay.
We'll make them silently.
Right.
So you guys, we are doing a new kind of segment on our show where we acknowledge a Black business or a Black person doing something really positive in their community. And we are highlighting one of the young ladies we had on last week, Khalifa Alexander, who has a Instagram page. It's called Cooking with Callie. We're going to put a little insert. And she cooks. She is cooking food. She's cooking dinners. She cooks very well. And so she's taking orders actively. And we really want you all who are close to her. I think she said she's trying to find ways to send food further. Mm-hmm. Once she figures that out, she can do more, maybe, orders out of state. But she's in Atlanta, Georgia. And her Instagram page, the little headline or whatever you call it there, the bio, I guess. I don't use Instagram like that. It says, what's it called? What is it called?
Her tagline,
whatever. It's called Bringing Faith and Food Together as One. So we definitely want to promote her business, and she is an excellent cook.
Listen, I'm going to tell you, the way she marinades the chicken.
Oh.
The way she marinades the tofu.
I just have to rock from side to side.
You have to testify.
I don't.
We don't. Khalifa's moved away, of course, and we're all stationed here in Louisville for the most part. Simone comes through and visits us from time to time. But we had a Friendsgiving last Thanksgiving. Don't know if we'll get to have that this year. But Khalifa blessed us with some dishes. And she didn't have to do it.
I missed it.
I mean, wow. That girl can cook. So, again, if you're in the Atlanta area, if you know her personally, hit her up. We're going to put up, like Simone said, we will show, should be showing right now, maybe a screenshot of her Instagram page. Follow her, DM her for recipes, suggestions. Put your shipping address in there and tell her to send you the box of food. I mean,
if the food was nasty, we wouldn't be talking about it, okay? Because that's just not the kind of people we are. Because we're food people.
No.
So, Brandon, do you want to orient us to the episode today?
Yes, orient us.
Somebody is definitely back at work. Yes, so this episode is very new. I'm not going to spoil it by the get. Yes, I am actually. So we wanted to, we've talked with totally different people, different professions when it comes to the coronavirus and COVID-19, whatever you call it. And so we wanted to get the perspective from someone from the military, the armed forces, kind of what they're going through, and if they've been deployed and whatnot, what it was like overseas, if they're stationed here, kind of what the protocols have been, and just talk to them about the current military climate and how things are going with that. But it's a very, very special guest, near and dear to my heart.
He has a heart. He has a heart.
Small one, but it's there.
Small and chipped.
Tiny.
Very small.
The courtyard to the garden of his heart is closed, Simone. The courtyard.
He's been hurt.
Yes.
I take 1 week off, and this is what I come back to. Oh, also, even though this is a little off topic, thank y'all for the love that y'all showed my baby girl. I really appreciate that. She had a great weekend last week. 7th birthday. I have a 17-year-old that's masquerading as a 7-year-old. So, my baby girl is 7. I can't believe I've been a dad for 7 years. How crazy is that?
And the child is still alive. Bless her.
She's still alive.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll take a short break and we'll hop back on with our special guest. All right, folks, we are back, and no, you are not seeing double. We actually have two brothers on our show this evening.
Two brothers.
Yes. Simone, go ahead.
We should have done a poll just to see, can y'all figure out like who he is just by looking.
Yeah.
But we have with us Bryant Howard, who is in the Army National Guard as a Sergeant E5, and he has been in for 6 years. And we are so thankful that you've taken the time to come and be with us. Thank you so much for your service.
Oh, no problem. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. And if y'all hear me refer to him as Domus during this conversation, it's because he's my little brother too. We all have known Bryant since he was like, what, 10?
8. He's 28. We've been in Louisville for 21 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
7.
He was just a little baby when he came to
a little baby.
Little baby running through the church, running under the pews and everything.
Running with his head.
I know.
So I call Domus because he has a big head. He had a larger head when he was a kid. So he's running with his head first.
I wonder where that came from.
I wonder where that came from. Next you know, I started to grow.
Yes, I stopped. So
she did stop.
Immediately.
She did.
He stopped a long time ago.
Yes.
Long time ago. I think she stopped probably once we got there.
As soon as you came, it's like it's stunning my growth. You're perfect. You just took me out.
Wow. So, Brian, we always start off asking folks, with everything going on, how are you doing? How are you coping with things? How are you doing?
It's been a shock. I can tell you that. Luckily, when this whole COVID thing happened, I was not in the country at that time. Mm-hmm. And when we got back, it was a shock. Everything from being quarantined, certain things that were off limits, 6 feet, mask everywhere. It was a shock, but since we've been back, the family, we've had a little get together. We asked people that if they felt sick or didn't feel comfortable, they don't come. But some people, they trusted themselves and trusted other people, and that's what it's really all about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I remember we were talking in the polos about your deployment, and I was, because I'm not obviously in the military, so I was like, are they going to cancel the deployment?
They're not going to say.
Maybe he won't go.
Oh, we were.
Go, right? And Brandon was like, no, he's going.
Once COVID happened, we were probably halfway through the deployment. Mm-hmm. And
y'all were about halfway.
And then restrictions started happening. We even got restrictions overseas, whereas the DFACs or chow halls, they closed, and it was takeout food only. People had, it's already hot over there, and you had people waiting outside just to get food in a long line. So there were restrictions, just like over here in the States.
Yeah.
Can you say where you were?
I was primarily in Iraq.
And how long was your deployment in total?
In total, from pre-mob to everything else, it was around 10 months. We were in country for roughly eight months.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you were there like right smack in the middle when this came up. Could you tell in the country where you were that this was going on? Like, I know you all as soldiers took protocols, but could you tell that any of the civilians were taking different protocols or anything in place?
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot of contractors. Contracting is a big thing over there. Mm-hmm. So for contractors to get on base, especially in Iraq, they had to go through different protocols, different testing. And then once we were getting towards the end in Kuwait, Kuwait as a country shut down. They mandated that they were going to shut down for at least a month. And we thought once they shut down, oh snap, are we going to be able to make it home? Mm-hmm. Because once they shut down, it could have delayed our progress. So you could definitely tell in the Middle East that they were taking precautions, probably not as much as we are in Europe, but they were definitely taking precautions.
Yeah. Well,
that would have really, go ahead, Tiff.
No, go ahead.
I kind of took note of what you said about, it sounded like there was an uncertainty about if y'all were going to be able to get home or whatever because of the precautions that were being taken. And I just wondered what emotionally or whatever you were going through to, you know, knowing COVID's going on where you are, but then also knowing your family's back at home and you weren't there. Like, what was going on for you, if you can speak to that emotionally or psychologically?
Oh, the biggest thing for me and probably everybody else was, like you said, the uncertainty if we were going to make it back home because of flights were canceled, movement was in a hole was canceled. So we didn't know. We had a set time when we thought we were going to make it home. And I mean, it could have been postponed a month, 2 months, but luckily we were in that window that it allowed us to make it out in time and on time. So, I mean, that, I don't know what would have happened, not for me, but for other people. I don't know what would have happened if we were to have to stay in Kuwait in a shutdown country for another month or two. I'm not gonna say it would have been miserable, but it would have been miserable.
All I remember is getting a voice call from you once you got back, and you were like, "Hey, I'm in the States." I was like, "Oh, whoa, okay."
Yeah, like that whole process when we left our first camp in Kuwait. I mean, we left that first camp and then we went to a terminal, and we sat in that terminal for at least 36 hours. We were just sitting there because we got there early. I don't know why we got there early. Movement, they were only making a few trips a day. So we got there 36 hours early. So, and we didn't know if we're going to make it out still. I mean, you don't want to trust anything until you're there. On the plane, in the air, at least 10 minutes away, because next you know, it could turn around. They can make an emergency landing. You just never know. And next you know, when I make that voice calls to him, my brother, my mom, Nicole, I mean, it was like, hey, I'm back in the States. I'm back in Texas. I know it was probably a shock for you all, but it was more of a shock for us too.
So that's what I was going to ask about, because I'm not going to ask you if you got scared, because, you know, soldiers don't get scared. I'm not gonna make you look bad for any other soldiers that might be watching for you. But I will ask, because I know you said uncertainty. A big part of dealing with the uncertainty, even for us just here, is being able to connect with people. I mean, I know you had your fellow soldiers or whatnot, but how were you able to stay connected with your family during all this? Because I'm sure you were worried you're newly married, you have a stepdaughter. I'm sure you were worried for your wife and your child, and in addition to your family.
So as a whole, I mean, the military and deployments, they've evolved tenfold. They're not like what they used to be back in the day. I mean, there's some places that are kind of secluded, but as a whole, I mean, they're pretty, not like back at home, but it's a little bit better. Like, you're not sleeping out in the desert, like under the stars, unless you're out on a mission and it really calls for that. But I mean, reaching back home to talk to the family, talk to friends back at home. I mean, it was pretty easy. Like, we had Wi-Fi that I asked my family to download a WhatsApp, and it allowed for us to use Wi-Fi to connect back with home, make calls over the internet, video calls. We even used Facebook if that went down. But being in a Middle Eastern country, a third world country, as per se, I mean, they could cut the internet off like that. As like they did. It was, I want to say, December to about, I want to say, February.
Wow.
I mean, there were weeks when they just cut off the internet just because there were protests going on over in Iraq, that next you know, the government just cut off the internet so people wouldn't be able to meet up together, because that was their means of communication over there. So, I mean, communicating back with the family, it was pretty easy, besides the time difference. It was an 8-hour time difference. And
Man, I remember I was like, it was probably like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I think my kids were like, Uncle Bryant, what's Uncle Bryant? And so I was like, oh, let's just call him real quick. And so I called him on WhatsApp, and he picked up. And he was like, hello. And I was like, oh, shoot, that's right. It's like 2:00 your time.
And I was probably just now getting to sleep. I mean, when we were actively engaged, I was getting probably on a given night 5 hours of sleep. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the time difference, it was crucial. But I mean, if I heard the phone, if I heard something going off, like, next thing you know, I don't want to miss a phone call if I could, just in case, like, I don't know, if there was something going on back at home or anything like that. Like, I didn't want to miss a phone call, especially from a family member. Like, if it was just a friend from around the corner, I mean.
So you would have ignored my call, basically.
Yeah. I ignored that call.
Love you too.
I would have hit you back, but, you know, I would have hit you back maybe 5-6 hours later. But, you know, like I don't know how many times I got calls where it was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning our time, and next you know it'd be like, oh yeah, we forgot about that time difference. But since we got you on the phone, how you doing? Yada yada yada. I'm just like, hey, man, I gotta get a few more hours of sleep. But that.
Well.
Are you going?
Brian, I had you sleeping outside, like in a valley. I don't know. You know how the movies portray folks in the military. So you had some comfort. Like you wasn't just over there roughing it per se.
Not too bad. I mean, for the most part, we had some type of roof over our head. I mean, they really take into effect trying to get some type of air conditioning. Because I mean, you can have highs especially in Iraq and definitely in Kuwait. Kuwait has, I think, the hottest place on earth. I swear to God, it has to be the hottest place on earth. So I mean,
you seem to feel very strongly about that.
One story. I mean, we got off the plane in Kuwait. It had to be at least midnight, 1 a.m. when we landed. We got off the plane and we stepped outside. It felt like an oven just hit us, and it was midnight. Like,
that's when it's supposed to be cool.
Why is it?
Exactly.
Why at midnight is it 96 degrees? Why? Why? And then during the heat of the day at noon, 1 o'clock, it would be 1:15.
No, they would have had to send me back home. Simone can't cut it.
You're not built for that. I ain't built for it either.
So, Brian, we've talked a lot about just in general going through COVID and how it's been really terrible, but at the same time, it's helped us to grow closer in some ways and to be more connected with certain people. And so I wonder, with you being over there, if you felt, I don't know, if maybe not because of COVID, but just in general, do you feel a bond with the folks that you were serving with? And what are those relationships like now?
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, if you serve with anybody in any capacity for a while, you definitely get that bond. And especially going overseas with said people, you definitely get a bond. Yeah, you might have your riff there, riff over there, but I mean, you'll get over that, and then you'll still have that bond. I mean, once we've gotten back, I still maintain those friendships with the people that we left with, whether they're in South Carolina, Mississippi, Louisiana. We maintain those friendships, whether it be over a text message, whether it be over Facebook. That friendship or that bond is still going to be there. I mean, there were certain events that, I mean, there were life-changing events over there. So life-changing events, lifelong bonds. So yeah, I mean, they'll be forever. I mean, you'll get those distance over there, over here, but I mean, all it takes is just a text or phone call or message on Facebook to reconnect. So I mean, bonds are like that, they're like forever.
Yeah. And most people don't know the life that you all, that experience. I can only imagine that those bonds are forever.
Right. A very small percentage of people overall. And then no matter if someone is a little bit older or what, you know, you know, they can say that they've served and say, oh, I served such and such place, and that's an automatic thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like, people, they'll see my license plate. I'll have a military license plate, or next, you know, like some old heads, they'll see that the way I walk or the way I carry myself, and then they'll just come up to me and say, hey, such and such, were you ever in the military? Are you still in the military? And then next, you know, you'll always know those old heads, just because, I mean, they're proud of what they did in World War II, Vietnam, Korea. So they'll always wear their hats and they're always recognizable. And then next, you know, you never want to shy from that, just because it's their way of trying to connect with you,
Mm-hmm.
trying to share those stories, and they might teach you something. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I never try to shy away from, especially the older generation, because I mean, even though they're older and they're becoming less and less of them, they're still teaching us lessons to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of those older folks and the ones that kind of, you know, gave back to the profession of military life, was that connection or that bond, or seeing people who are older speak highly of the military, was that something that led you to join the military?
So when I think about what led me to join the military, I'd have to go back to the year. It was 2014, which is the day I actually joined, or the year I joined.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to think that my late grandfather, he played a factor into me wanting to serve in some type of capacity.
Mm-hmm.
He served. I mean, if you knew my granddad, I mean, he was proud. I mean, that man was proud of what he did. When we went down to watch him get his Purple Heart, I swear to God, that man never took off his Purple Heart.
Never.
He went anywhere. We'd go out to eat. He'd have it on his chest. He just wear it. Or if he was wearing a suit to church, he wore it. I mean, he was proud, and I wanted to be proud of something like that. Mm-hmm. So that and the other factors of 2014, I mean, I played college baseball, and I just had another knee surgery. Mm-hmm. And another one, I should say. And
bad knees run in the Howard family.
Oh, they really do. And I went to go play ball again, and I realized I wasn't the same. Mm-hmm. And I'm that type of person. If I can't give it 100% or my body 100%, I'm just not going to do it. So I told them, hey, I don't think I can. Y'all can give this scholarship to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, I kind of felt a little low. And then next thing you know, I was like, you know, this is probably the perfect time for me to go see what they're offering. Mm-hmm. And I thought about the active duty, and I almost went active duty. And then next thing you know, this guy approached me, said, hey, have you ever heard of the Kentucky National Guard? And I said, no. He gave me his spiel. And then next thing you know, it was a long process. I think it took at least 4 to 5 months. Mm-hmm. And I enlisted May 2014. And then I shipped out about a month later to basic, and never looked back. And it's been some of the greatest 6 years of my life.
See, I thought you were going to say all those days of Pathfinders made you feel really strongly about it.
See, I will tell you, that did give me a leg up on drill and ceremony.
It sure does. It really does.
It did.
Not all for not. I'm just saying. All that left, right face, you know, all that, all that. It's not for all, you know.
I mean, I remember the times when next, you know, we'd play that game of next, you know, somebody would just start screaming off commands, and to see who would be able to recognize them and then do the motion. And if they were just a little split second off, they were out. I mean, that's drill and ceremony.
Yep. See, guys, Pathfinders, preparing your future soldiers.
I gotta find my outfit.
Oh Lord!
Oh, I know my outfit. Been gone. It been done, been burnt up.
Oh, if I don't have it here, oh, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
So Bryant, we talked in my field, I work in mental health, and so there's a lot more attention being paid to mental health within military communities. They talk a lot about PTSD, of course, and they talk about suicide and all that kind of thing. And so I wonder if when you were deployed or just in general, what kind of conversations, or do they have conversations to you all, have conversations with you all about mental health, recognizing the signs of depression or anxiety, or what has your experience been?
So with mental health and PTSD, it's especially in my new family, my wife, so she's actually a social worker, and her focus focus in getting her master's was to deal with veterans. And that's what she wants to end up doing. That's the end goal for her. So that was like a big thing for her, like, oh, make sure you listen to whatever they say in those briefings that you probably go to sleep in, or just on your phone, make sure you pay attention. But I mean,
put your phone down.
I mean, they have the briefings, like, of course, everybody, I mean, do they pay attention? Is it just a checkbox that they're checking off? Typically, yeah. But I mean, it's not really on them, it's on the soldier, because they can only do so much.
Yeah.
They can lead them to water, but they can't make them drink.
All right.
If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just because, so, I mean, we had a few instances, different attacks over there. I mean, they sent a few people home who they thought had traumatic brain injuries. So I want to say they're doing a better job now than they were 20 years ago when this war started, I want to say. So they're putting a huge focus on it now, just because I don't know if it's for them to try to save them money, which it probably is. But I mean, it's a pretty big deal now. And now, of course, you will see 22 lives a day, like the big social media thing right now for veterans. I mean, I feel like it's almost a weekly thing for me. I'll see on social media that another veteran, a friend of a friend, has committed suicide, and it's, I mean, it's real.
Well, I think doesn't Nicole, your wife, she has personal dealings with that as well, correct?
Yes, I don't want to get too far into it, but yeah, her brother, he ended up committing suicide, and he was a Marine. He did 2 tours overseas, and you can only imagine the things that he saw. He was in the years of pretty much the height of the war, so you can only imagine the things that he saw, and that impacted her life, and now that's the driving force that she has to try to do something for the veteran community. And that's, I mean, can't help but love that. So
absolutely. And I think, as strong and as important as you all are, I think it shows strength that that a lot of y'all are willing to talk about it and not acknowledge the mental health impact and get help if you need it. I'm remembering we had somebody from the military come and do a talk for our staff, and it was really good, but it was interesting because he had obviously been through a lot, and so he was trying to talk to us about mental health, but he was standing in front of the door, so we were literally trapped in the room, and I was like, okay, he needs to have the power position in the room because of what he's been through. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing your experience and your wife's as well.
Yeah. And our condolences go to your wife's family for that. That's something about suicide. You never really get closure with that. So never, no matter how long that's been. So definitely sending love and support to her. Yeah.
So Brian, I have to know what is, and I guess we're putting you on the spot kind of, but what is the biggest misconception about military life that you think? Like, what is something we don't know that you can share?
Oh, what did you say? You kind of broke up right there.
Oh, I said, what is the biggest misconception about military life? Is there anything that you hear people say all the time that's like, have to do with the military, and you're like, no, that's not true, or that's crazy?
Just the fact that if I try not to go much of anywhere in my uniform, just because of the climate today. But if I do, if I had to go get gas somewhere or something like that, they'll always think that you're an infantryman. It doesn't matter what job you do or whatever. They see a uniform and they always think you're the guy that's on the front lines, or you're an infantryman. Your only job is to shoot, yada yada yada. But I mean, there's hundreds of jobs in the Army. I can't speak on other branches, but another misconception. I mean, there's a bunch of them.
Simone gave you one about living up in the stars in the dirt.
Yeah, I thought y'all was out there exposed.
Well, they used to, not anymore. I mean, the government's so big. They contract, I feel like, everything out, like housing, food, labor work, like any type of infrastructure, they contract out. So with those contractors, I mean, they're building portable housing, they're doing all that other stuff that will make us not have to sleep outside. So, and then, I mean, they're pocketing all that money too, so.
Now you were engineering, right? Like
I was in engineering unit, yeah.
Okay, what did you all do while y'all were out there?
So our main mission going in was pretty much to build up the different bases in our area of operations. So you got the vertical units, the horizontal units, the utility detachments. So you got your electricians, your plumbers, you got any type of thing that you can think of as far as engineering. We had people that literally built buildings, the vertical units. The horizontal units, they're out laying pavement, they're building roads. And then you got our surveyors, the guys that you probably see on the highways with those poles, looking out there into the cameras, trying to make sure the lines are correct, everything's correct. Military has those. I mean, you got any type of engineer you can think of, the military also has that. And they're doing that type of job over there. And then, of course, you have your officers that are overseeing that, like the project managers, the supervisors, anything construction. I mean, it's pretty, I think it's amazing.
Pretty big then.
It was amazing. And it wasn't just our unit. It was a whole battalion. And then, of course, you got the whole brigade that's over top of us. So you got all these different engineering units that are cohesively maintaining, building up infrastructure for these bases. And that was our mission going in. The mission changed a little bit after certain events happened. So it kind of changed to force protection, building up barriers, building up fighting positions. It kind of changed. It just, stuff like that. You never know. You got to be adaptable. That's the big thing.
Did that change because of COVID, or because I know you mentioned earlier there was protests happening where you were? Did the mission change for that reason, or just the need?
No, it changed because of certain things that were going on in the region. Certain people didn't want the U.S. military there, so there was protest against our embassy. There was always threats against us, and then next you know, I mean, don't want to go too far into it. I know you can probably Google it, but there were, I mean, it was attack after attack after attack, and then next you know, it led to a culminating attack, and next you know, after that, I think it was January 8th. I'll always remember that day. After that, I mean, it was like, all right, what do we do now? And then like, oh, we gotta make sure we're not this exposed anymore. So we still did engineering operations, but we also had secondary mission, which was force protection, keep us safe, keep everybody around us safe.
Wow. So Bryant, now that you're back, and you've been back for how long now?
It's been a little over 2 months.
Okay.
Going on 3 months.
How have you changed? Are you aware of how you changed? Like, what feedback have you gotten from your wife and your family?
Oh, well, I can give you one change. I've gained at least 10 pounds since I've been back. I can tell you that.
Happy weight.
I'm currently trying to lose that right now because I looked at myself. I was like, oh, man, this is bad.
You got a lot of factors working against you, though. That's married weight. That's happy weight.
Right.
Yeah.
That love and happiness weight.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, y'all know us Howard boys, we love to eat. So I haven't been.
I've seen y'all in action.
Like, it's crazy. So, not so, I wouldn't say a big change other than, I mean, of course, I'm happy to be back home. Other than that, I can't really see much change or changes in me since I've been back home.
How was the transition? Like, how long did it take you to feel like you were still out serving? Like, was it immediate the first night you got home? Did you feel like a sense of peace and calm?
So because of COVID, I think this is probably the only pro of COVID for people that are redeploying back home. So because of COVID, we had to quarantine for 2 weeks in Texas before we could do any of our out processing.
Okay.
So while we were quarantined, we were literally out in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico doing absolutely nothing. So because of that, I think a lot of people probably transitioned a little bit better than they would think they would do, being kind of just thrown back into civilian life.
Yeah.
But because of COVID, we had that extra 2 weeks, and then we had like 3 to 4 days of out processing to kind of help us transition back into it. And I think that helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
Going back into kind of hitting on, some of the stuff that's going on now when it comes to social injustice and a lot of talking about systemic racism and things along those lines. How has that impacted you at all, either while you were overseas or since you've been back, if at all?
So we started noticing it starting to pop off a little bit more while it was on the tail end of the deployment. And then it really popped off while we were in quarantine. So there were some of us that were from Louisville. I mean, we kind of like asked each other, what do we think about this? What do we think about that? And actually one of the people that I was actually deployed with, he's an LMPD cop. And he was like, that's it. Not to sound terrible, it was like, man, it almost seems like another day on the job for most of them. And it just gave us a time to kind of think about it. And I mean, then coming back to it, I mean, I love Louisville and all, but I'm glad I don't live in Louisville at this current moment. I mean, I can, like, during my in processing for my new job, we got a security brief, and the guy straight up told us he does security pretty much for the whole state. He straight up told us, it was like, don't go downtown Louisville, don't go to downtown Lexington. He said, it's a powder keg. It's gonna explode at any moment. And I believe it. I kind of hope it does explode, because maybe that'll bring some type of change. And I mean, I'm on the fence with it, with especially with the Kentucky National Guard soldier that fired his weapon.
Yeah.
I think that's still under investigation. I hope that's still under investigation, because what happened with that should have never happened. And I mean, I really do hope there's some type of reform that happens because of all of this.
Yeah.
It needs to happen. And a bunch of African American soldiers that I was deployed with, I mean, we text all the time, and you'll probably hear it from other people. I mean, we've thought about like, hey man, like we were safer overseas than we are now.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
Like people don't realize that, and we're just like, why do you think that? Because there's a known enemy overseas. Over here in Kentucky, in the States in general, I could be pumping my gas, and then next you know, boom, out of nowhere, you don't know who's your enemy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. That's wild. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
Just because in the military, we're all one. And people think, oh man, there's racism in the military, there's injustice in the military, but we're all equally, well, it's kind of terrible. We're all equally nothing. And once we believe that, I mean, everybody's one. And that's why we try to preach that into the civilian population, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
When you were saying though about how, I don't remember the words that you used, but basically you all were trying to make sure that you all were safe over there. You all were doing things to secure the area, and I'm sure that was a diverse group of soldiers doing that work. And when you have a common goal like that, of course it bonds you. And I think you're right. Over here, we're all doing our own thing, and you know, the injustice or racism or whatever pops up, and you don't know who's your enemy. You don't know where you're going to get it from. So it makes sense that in many ways you felt safer there as a Black man, maybe over there, than you do in your own country, which is sad, but I hear what you're saying.
Just because, I mean, you gotta depend on that person to the left of you and to the right of you, in front of you, behind you. It doesn't matter if that person's white, black, green, yellow. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're your battle buddy. They're your friend. They're gonna keep you safe. You're gonna keep them safe. And I wish that would transition over into out of the military, just because I mean, you got, oh well, this person's white, this person's black. We're not seeing eye to eye. Wow.
Right.
Yeah. And I know, Bryant, you're saying you're not necessarily an infantryman. You're not in the front line. Your job is not to take people out in that way. But you always had a weapon with you, correct?
Yes.
You carry. Okay. And what were you carrying while you were over?
So we dual carried. Well, the people in our company, we dual carried, and it was either an M9 or M4, either a pistol or a rifle. There were some days we carried both. I mean, you just never know. Mission dictated what we had to carry.
Yeah. I only bring that up because you were talking about, like, you know, when you're in the military, you're just protecting each other, and over here you just don't know who your enemy is. And just to further contrast, you know, you're carrying those weapons daily, licensed to carry that, able to do that. No one looked at you adversely because of it. As a Black man back home, you can't do that here, you know, without being looked at as a threat, which is amazing because you served your country. I think that's something that many of our ancestors dealt with, have a hard time dealing with, when they'd be treated adversely in the streets out of uniform because they have served the country. They've done what they're supposed to do. They've paid their price. And it's just like, I can't even be respected in my own home, in my own community, just because of that.
I mean, you can ask my wife upstairs. I mean, there's almost no place I go without a gun on me since I've been back. I mean, you just never know. I feel like everybody, it's our constitutional right. We have that right to bear arms. So I feel everybody should take advantage of that. I'm not saying everybody go buy one and then always have it. You need the proper training. You need to go to those classes. I mean, we all know Fred. He's a monster with it. I mean, Go see Fred. I mean, Fred Parker, he's amazing. I'm trying to go shoot with him. Hopefully sometime later on this year. But I mean, just to get a gun doesn't mean you should have it on you all the time, because next you know that's where mistakes could possibly happen. And then, you can end up hurting yourself, your family, your friends, or an innocent bystander. So, go train with your weapon. Go shoot your weapon. I mean,
yes, Mom.
I tried it once, and it's just not for me. Okay.
I feel like there's a weapon for everybody. I mean, females included. I got my wife for $380.
I hold those bags. I hold whatever y'all want. Y'all go ahead. A little pink gun, a tiny one. What?
Laughing at you.
A small pink gun. I can just no. Okay. It's
not with me. Can't come shoot with me with no little pink gun. Get out of here.
Keep that little pop gun. Keep that pop gun somewhere else.
Hey, what about a bow and arrow?
All right, Hawkeye.
She went to the frontier with the bow and arrow.
Yes.
Crossbow.
I'm telling you. So
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Right. I'm telling you, I could just I could do that. I work on my aim. So Brian, I know you have somewhere to be tomorrow, so we're not gonna keep you, and we're gonna ask you about self-care later, but I have to know, when you were over there, what were the things that gave you comfort or that helped you get through being away from your family and all that you know for 10 months?
The ability to communicate was pretty huge, because we didn't know what we were going to be able to do, what we were going to be able to have. I mean, Wi-Fi over there was ridiculously expensive, but I mean, it wasn't a necessity. It was a comfort for us to be able to buy, just to be able to communicate back at home. So using that, care packages, I mean, we got care packages from everybody, like people's companies, their jobs that they worked at. I mean, we got care packages from all over the country. And I mean, just that type of love, I mean, it gave us some type of comfort that, hey, I might not know this person, but this person's thinking of this. I mean, it's there's little things like that.
You had your birthday while you were deployed. I think I saw your wife sent you a box.
Oh yeah, so I went through pretty much every major holiday except for 4th of July over there, and y'all know I love Thanksgiving, and that was the biggest one for me to swallow was Thanksgiving. But I mean, they helped us out with Thanksgiving. We got a Thanksgiving meal. It was a Thanksgiving lunch. It wasn't dinner, but I mean, it was something.
You turkey sandwiches?
Yeah, it was something. It wasn't like back at home. I mean, I FaceTime family back at home later that day, and of course they showed me all the food.
They had the itis.
Don't do that.
Yes, I will never forget.
Food, and it was pretty miserable. I mean,
one year y'all had, because we used to spend some Thanksgivings with the Howards. Y'all had these fried turkeys. There was like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Best turkey ever.
I can't do no other turkey at this point.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we might like a baked turkey, but I mean, I think you should go the extra mile and just put it in the fryer. I mean, yeah, it might be easily combustible.
Right.
I mean, you got risk, but you know, risk versus reward. It's a greater reward for a little bit of risk.
Oh wow.
I mean, y'all had that fried turkey.
I can't complain.
So good.
Well, Brian, we want to thank you so much for being on, for spending time with us. We appreciate you. Can't say enough great things about you while you were gone. Your brother talked you up while you were away. You know, we were praying for you.
They asked about you.
Yeah. we're definitely glad that you're back. You know, hope you get to stay in the States for a while, and continue to be safe, man.
Man, you know, for those that do know me and do watch this, you all know that I talk my brother up like a lot. I'm proud of both of my brothers. Definitely proud of Brad, who's the chef in the family. He's the one who fries the turkey.
Risk life so y'all can have fried turkey.
Hey, you know, somebody's got to sacrifice.
He's a professional. He's a professional, so it's fine.
But, you know, I was very proud of my youngest brother. You know, going overseas. You know, really taking this step. You know, being, you know, he manned up. You know, a lot. You know, I saw him at his graduation from boot camp. I drove to Fort Jackson to see him and to see how he's matured as a man. You know, he's got married now. He's got a kid now, and you know, I'm just so proud of the man that he's become. And really and truly, I got to catch up now. I mean, I went to his house about it's been a month. I went to his house a month ago. He's got a pool out there. I ain't got no pool.
Brandon's kiddie pool looks sad.
He makes my kiddie pool. I didn't want to get
sitting in that pool.
You know, he got a whole acre of land. He got a full basement. He got this. He got that. I was like, man, I got to catch up to my little brother, man. But I'm just so proud of him and what he's able to accomplish. And, you know, he's been in it 6 years. He's only got 14 more to go until he really retires when he's 42. And it's not that long from now. And he's really setting himself up for me to borrow money from him later on in life. So, so keep up the good work so I can be financially stable there.
I got to pay for this house. I got to pay for the truck. You know, the expenses are growing.
Yeah.
You hear that, Simone? What did you get, Bryant?
I bought a truck.
Get you on a truck.
What did you get?
2019 Dodge Ram.
Ooh. Well, good for him. He started the cut. And we're so proud that you have that.
I love it. I mean,
Brian, they keep trying to make me get my husband
I made.
Her husband needs a truck.
He don't need no truck.
Oh, he probably does need a truck. You just don't want to give him a truck.
No.
That's right. Come on.
That's true. I don't. Anyway, this is a good segue to self-care. Brian, we always talk about we just name one thing that we're going to do throughout the week to kind of take care of ourselves. So I'm not going to put you on the spot to go first, but Brandon, do you have any self-care goals?
Yes. I don't know if it's really going to be for this week or it's going to be just for the future, because this week is not going to be a self-care week, to be honest. But really it's going to be to lay low. And
what does that mean?
Not do much. Not do much outside stuff.
If possible.
Yeah, so I'm trying to lay low and kind of chill out and not do a whole lot.
Okay. Tiff, you got anything in mind?
Yeah, I'm going to just go to bed at a decent hour, which is for my friends that know me before 2 a.m. Before 2 a.m.
So that means no polos after?
After midnight, you might not see no more. I might be asleep.
I don't like that one. I don't like that one at all, because I stay up. I need somebody to communicate with. And Brandon, you're not going to watch the polos anyway.
Exactly.
So. See, that's a misconception. I watch snippets of them.
Snippets.
See if they're important or not. And then now that I have Polo Plus, I can scroll through 10 seconds at a time.
You're welcome. Y'all are welcome.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I think that my goal for this week is to explore the city more. So we went over to Crowder Mountain State Park today and walked all the way up the mountain, and that was amazing. So I'm going to try to get out of the house more and just maybe try one thing a week. So obviously I can't do it every day, but maybe I'll research like the next adventure. So that will be part of my self-care, to get out and explore North Carolina a little, Charlotte, North Carolina a little bit more.
It's a good one.
Bryant, what about you? You got anything in mind?
Well, I mean, of course, I mean, being my brother's brother, I mean, fitness is huge. I mean, I think that could be an outlet for some people. I mean, definitely do that. But like you said, just to get away, just to get out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is kind of crazy that you said that because next weekend when I get back, I'm actually going to take the kid and we're going to go camping for that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And
nice.
it's just this stuff like that, just to get out, just to get away. I mean, take time for yourself. I mean, if you're not going to do it, who is?
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
Very true.
I mean, it's there's little things like that. I mean, I have that luxury with a deck. I mean, most people don't, and you can just go out on a front porch or take a chair in your backyard or something like that. Just admire what God made. I mean, that's real huge and being out in the middle of nowhere out here out in the country. It's I'm very appreciative of that.
And he not lying. He in the middle of nowhere.
Well, guys, I think that's it for us for tonight. Brian, again, we thank you. It's weird calling you Brian. Domus, thank you for being with us. It's always going to be my Domus. I don't care how old you get. And as we close, I want to just remember to stay safe in these Corona times.
Safe.
Hands.
Wear your mask.
The threat is not over. Please take care of yourself.
Yep.
Don't forget to look up Cooking with Callie.
Yes.
Alexander, and eat her food. Order her food if you can.
Yep. And you know what? Today is a good day to arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. So, you know.
Today is a great day.
Always
That's
great.
time.
Yes.
You know, go do that.
Exactly.
But till next time, we remain yours.
Remain
Remain yours.